Thanks for hitting the button to subscribe. Thank you so much for deciding to listen in. Thank you so much for deciding to share. Welcome to the G Code. It is me, ADRI.V, the Go Getta. And of course, I will be introducing myself again. But this episode, I get a chance to interview a gentleman I met while in college. And he's going to give you and talk to you about how he was able to develop his brand while in college, and all the experience that he gained in college really prepared him for the working world of going into the real world after graduation. Now, this episode, I kind of deem it for a lot of my college students because so many of my students, I realize, are not understanding and grasping the concept of building your brand and building your career while you're in college already. You know, I love higher education. I'm all about academia. But what I'm also about is not just going there to be book smart, but really developing yourself to be smart in so many other areas to really go and attack life at the best you possibly can. You see, getting a 4.0 and leaving with no experience is not beneficial for you being on that campus. But getting a 4.0 and making sure that you have experience as well as developing network and connections, and then leaving college and saying, you know what, I prepared myself to go into the working world, not only through getting the actual grades necessary, but also getting the needed connections that will help prepare you and propel you in the best direction possible to really attack life after having had attacked college. So this gentleman will give you the inside scoop on how being great in college and developing himself in such a way prepared him for the world of today. Just that simple. All right. Again, thank you so much for subscribing. If you have yet to do so, do it. If you have yet to share, and keep listening because you are in for a treat. Welcome to the G Code. What's up, my go-getters? Welcome back again to yet another Wednesday where I get you over the hump with some dope inspiration, of course, and you get a chance to kick it with some of my featured go-getters. And I just gotta say one thing: welcome to the G Code. Now today I have a guy on the line with me who is calling in from New York City, and he will give you actually details of which area he's from, and of course he's going to represent really, really hard. But I got a chance to meet him while at the University at Buffalo, and I remember during my EOP session, my first time being there, he got up there and spoke about the organization he was a part of at school. And I was like, dang, I want to make sure I'm a part of that because he made it seem so cool. So welcome to the G Code, my boss man, my partner, definitely an individual that I look up to, Mr. Dela Yador. What up, Dela?
ADRI.V, what up, love? How are you? Pleasure to be on the show.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to have you on. I feel like this has been like a connection waiting to happen. Just don't know when it was going to happen.
It's been a long time coming, but long overdue. Glad it's happening, and glad to speak with you and your peoples.
Absolutely. So, Dela, I know you, but for those who don't know you, give them a quick glimpse of exactly who the heck is Dela.
All right, so my name is Dela Yador. I am originally from the Bronx, New York. Grew up in the Bronx, high school in the Bronx, Lehman High School. Did my undergrad at the University of Buffalo. Learned a lot, learned a ton. How I met ADRI.V is I got involved in the student government, from promotions to doing video work. I mean, I felt like I started from the bottom and kind of worked my way up to helping lead the organization, which was basically all student life on campus, concerts, comedians, events. I mean, we're bringing like Kanye West out there to perform, right after he was talking about George Bush and Katrina.
Right.
We were, bringing Dave Chappelle and Dane Cook and, Incubus and a whole bunch of rock bands. So we did a lot of student activities on campus. After Buffalo, I came back to New York, got a job with VH1 Soul as their consumer marketing coordinator. VH1 Soul, amazing channel, amazing people. Continue to work on at VH1 under Viacom. Did some work with Centric at BET. During my time in Buffalo, I built a good relationship with some DJs in New York, namely the Heavy Hitters. Shouts to DJ Enough and the whole Heavy Hitters team. Ended up doing some events with them and managing some of their annual retreats with my brothers Los and Freddie P. So they're one of the most influential groups in music, the most influential DJ crew out. So it was an honor to work with them. So I was doing VH1, I was doing the heavy hitters, and recently I just started working with a spirit supplier named Pernod Ricard. So I'm managing some of their multicultural marketing efforts for Martell Cognac, Malibu Rum, Malibu Coconut Rum, rather, Seagram's Gin, and the world's best tasting tequila, Avion. Shameless plug. But I've learned along the way a variety of lessons. ADRI has learned that with me while we, were throwing some dope parties in Buffalo with Class Entertainment. So yeah, it's been a great ride thus far. 32, so it's been a great ride.
Yes, 32 years young. And what I've learned about your entire ride, it always involved entertainment, somewhere, some way, somehow. So, when did you know exactly what is it you wanted to, get into when it came to your career and your profession?
Well, to be honest, I had hoop dreams. I swore in high school I was gonna,
You're gonna be an NBA player?
Make it to the to the A. I think everyone at one point or another. I'm a Knicks fan. It's been a rough journey, but I'm a Knicks fan. I think when you're watching your favorite players on the screen, you're hoping that you could one day be there with them. Then reality hits you, and you just can't dunk the way you thought you could.
Dela, I just never had that dream for you. It's like, wait, what? I never knew that, but go ahead.
it was a one-sided dream. Yeah, but I think throughout throughout my youth, I've always been into music. I got into rap a little late. My older sisters used to watch Video Music Box on Channel 25 and Ralph McDaniels and all the I remember watching LL Cool J and them telling me to get out of here because I was too young. And the first song I really remember grabbing me was Craig Mack, Flavor in Your Ear remix with Big. And I remember I had this small little white cassette tape that I used to record songs off the radio, and I recorded that, and I think I played it over and over and over again till the tape broke. And then music just got me in, like it was, buying every Vibe or Source magazine I could get my hands on. And, that was in high school. And, I went to school with people like French Montana, who's dope in basketball. Don't let the swag fool you. You can actually ball. And, just being around people like that, I never knew French was going to take off and do what he did.
Right.
And, you kind of see people for who they are, and then you see, them grow into where their interests take them. So, I knew I wanted to get into entertainment big time when I was in college, getting involved in student government. I started off as assistant video director, which was $125 a month, recording all the schools, events, waking up at the butt crack of dawn. It was a rough job.
Right.
But it was one of those things I had to pay some dues before I, got into promoting events on campus, promoting my own events. But, I just saw people making things happen, and I wanted to be a part of that. And, it was, I'm thankful because I felt like I've lived a few different lifelines. I've been in TV, I've been in the clubs with the DJs, and now I'm on the spirit side. So throughout that, the involvement has, the want to be involved has remained the same, and it's been a dope ride.
And, speaking of, having a dope ride, I've been able to be a part of the ride of Class Entertainment. And when you came to create Class Entertainment, what were you thinking? Because to me, Class Entertainment was a secret society. All we asked was trust, right? Not only were we party promoters, but we were a family. And you really took that entity of Class Entertainment and really made it a whole different kind of brand, from branding it crazy on social media when it really popped off, branding it crazy heavy, going hard in a dormitory, spreading flyers everywhere, making sure we had apparel. But where did this idea come from, and what made you really want to take this and run with it from a college level? Because you were, in a becoming of a boss while in college.
And it's funny when you say boss, like, I like to think that every boss is still a worker.
Right.
You know what I mean? And,
nice.
The inception of Class Entertainment with my partners at the time, shouts to Jay and DeMar, and the whole Class Entertainment team, we saw what college parties were. There were frat houses, there were in clubs, when you had Pharaohs and the Lions Den and all those, legendary Buffalo clubs and people that were doing it. The Greeks were doing it.
Right.
You had Mr. Illmatic who was doing it as well. But we saw what it was, and we wanted to bring something to the table that we thought wasn't there. We wanted to bring, big name DJs every time we came around, not just, once a year. We wanted to create a different experience, better venues. We wanted to, bring people out that may not have known that Buffalo had a nightlife scene, and we wanted to let outside of Buffalo, we wanted to let New York City know that, people were turning up in college in a fun way. So, Class Entertainment, we had the logo, we had the dude with the tie, and he was serving you like, a cocktail and notes and class. And, we just thought Class Entertainment was a way of just conveying the message of we can party, but we can party in a grown way, in a grown environment, and with grown people, although we're college students. And, we were running from 2004 to like 2010,
right.
You know what I mean? And, we're bringing DJ Enough, DJ Camilo, Cass One, Mr. C. These are dudes that in the city, they were gods, you know
right.
what I mean? They were killing it. And to be able to work with them and bring them to the city, it was amazing. And, this was before Twitter and Instagram. Like, this is right around when Facebook popped off, you know, and this is like '04. And we had people going around with, customized jackets, hand-to-hand flyers. We had the logo on hats. It was all a sense of, and we had a really diverse team at that. Like, our team was white, Spanish, Asian, black. Again, the parties were consistently like hip-hop and hip-hop feeling, but everybody rocks with hip-hop. It's not just a black thing, you know what I mean? But we wanted people, it was a very diverse feeling, and we wanted to be all-inclusive of what was going on, and I think our parties reflected that as well.
And it definitely did. And on top of that, when we think about the parties and then just transitioning out of college, like, how did your work that you put in college help you transition going into the world of working world? Because, I always talk to students and I always tell people, while you're in college, really make the best of your time. Don't just go to class. Make sure you go to class, of course, get your grades and everything, but make use of your environment, build your brand while you're there. Share with us how you being able to learn whatever you learn, being a president of student association, having those different jobs that you shared about while in college, building a brand while in college and building networks that you connected with these DJs. How did that help you in your transition going into the working world after you graduated?
That's key. Like, I thought going into college, it was a new experience. I'm from the Bronx, not many people that I grew up with were able to go away to school. So I definitely looked at that as a huge opportunity. But I didn't realize what it was until I got in and I knew what was able to be done, right? So college, you don't leave with a diploma, whatever it is. That's your receipt. That's proof that you went for 5 years.
Right.
In some cases, that's proof that you went there. But that's not enough to show that you learn from the experience. Like, you could be book smart, you could be street smart. A lot of what I learned from Buffalo came from outside of the classroom. Like, what you learn from books, one day that's going to fade, one day that knowledge is going to fade, but the experiences, the relationships you build that come from outside the classroom and experiences outside the classroom, that's key. Some of the relationships I made in Buffalo, I'm going to have for the rest of my life.
Right.
What I learned from dealing with university police, from dealing with the club owners in Buffalo, from dealing with, some of the people that were born and raised in Buffalo, because it was tough, not coming from Buffalo, but throwing parties in Buffalo. There were some people that didn't want us there. They didn't want us doing that. Right. You know what I mean? There were some people that are from the city that didn't want us. Like, who are you? Who are you to kind of come in and think you could do this? And we understood that, and we had to show respect to come. We were visitors in the city of Buffalo, so we made we connected with these people. You know what I mean? Shots of True Life, them dudes like OGs,
right.
You know, they held us down while we were out there. Marlo True, you know, they definitely took us under their wing out there as well, and we built relationships with those dudes, and they, you know, through that relationship, we're able to kind of see the game through their lens in Buffalo, the nightlife scene. And this is just, you know, there's different worlds we're living in. So this was like nightlife. There's student government, UB, student association, which in that space, I had to be a completely different person because doing parties didn't matter in that job,
right,
in that role. Like I had to put that hat away. You know, that like if I'm going to be representative for, you know, in this case, 17,000 undergrads, you know, it's not party time. That's a real gig. Like, they elected me to be in that. So I had to be very honest and real about that. And then the flip side of that is, you know, when you leave school, student government ends. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's not life. I think there were times, I remember situations where, you know, we thought student government was life or death. But the truth of it was, like, you know, when you leave, when you're done with school, that student government stuff ends, you know, like you got to put that ball down and pick another ball up and get to the goal line, whatever your goal is. So, you know, there were a lot of lessons to take from there in terms of dealing with people. I think one of the most important skills you'll ever have is knowing how to deal with people, because you could be great at math, you could be great at science. If you don't know how to empathize with people, how to respect people, how to convey and communicate messages to people to get your point across, and to develop mutually beneficial relationships. If you can't do that, life ain't gonna get any easier for you.
That's a good G
code. So, you know, there were a variety of lessons I learned in Buffalo, and, you know, it's one of the most important experiences I've ever had. Learning from teachers, learning from friends, administration, you know, even learning from stars, you know what I mean? Like, when Kanye West is coming out there and, you know, he's on stage performing the Touch the Sky tour, and just seeing his journey from, you know, the guy that was, you know, getting evicted in Jersey and having to move his moms out, and to this guy on stage talking about Touch the Sky, to the guy right now who's, you know,
Randy,
you know, on stage getting Michael Jackson Vanguard Awards. You know, there's you watch people's journey and their journeys, and there's always something to learn. You know, there's always something to learn from winning, from losing. And I like to say this. I know I'm going off on a tangent a little bit, but
it's okay.
There's no losing. There's no losing. Like, there's only winning and learning. You know, from any experience that you have, you know, anytime you lose, or quote unquote lose, you know, there's always a lesson to be learned. You never leave any relationship experience empty-handed. At the very least, there's an experience or a lesson to be learned, and, you know, the learning never stops. So,
absolutely. And what I love about life in itself, like you said, there's no losing. There's always, you know, a winning and learning. And sometimes in the midst of the winning and learning, there's what I like to call, when it comes to the G code, you know, there's pretty. We see you in different places in the city, or at different events, or, you know, networking with different people on your Instagram or your social media. But then there's an ugly behind it all that we don't get to see. And that possibly could be the learning component, you know, and dealing with the pitfalls or disappointments. And have there's ever been any areas of your life where, you know, you just thought things were going to go how you wanted them to go, and there went, you know, a different direction? How were you able to, you know, overcome that aspect and, you know, bounce back and be resilient?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no way you're in this music or entertainment game without taking your own share of losses. And I remember when I was at VH1, it's right after I'd spent some time with BET and Centric. I unfortunately got laid off in September 2011. And, you know, being in TV and watching the industry change, you know, how digital's taken over, watching companies trying to adjust and be relevant to consumers in a new way. Layoffs and downsizing are a part of the game. And I'd seen 3 different layoffs take place. I remember in 2007, while I was still at VH, when I saw a layoff happening, and it was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, I ain't signed up for this. Like, I hope it ain't me. The second one came around, and I survived that one, obviously. The second one came around, I think, 2009, And it was like, whoa, this is crazy. But, damn, if I get caught, that'll suck. But, I just hope it's not me. Survived that. Cool. 2011 came around. Wasn't so lucky. And, I remember getting that call into my VP's office, my vice president's office. Shouts to Wendy. She's Wendy Weatherfish. She's amazing. But I remember her closing the door and like, damn. In my mind, I'm saying, yo, it's my time.
Right.
And, she started tearing up a little bit. I was like, yeah, I found myself consoling her a little bit, which is it was interesting. But what I learned from that experience is, first of all, I got hired back to VH1 a month and a half later, which was amazing. It was sort of a numbers thing. But what I learned from that experience is you always got to be prepared. Like, you never know when, don't let your wins get you too high. Don't let your losses get you too low. You never know when something's going to come around and knock you off your feet. But it's not about you getting knocked off your feet. It's about you getting back up. America loves a comeback, right? Like, I think we look at the movies, we look at, everyone that's ever been down on TV, and you hope, whether it's the good guy or bad guy, whoever you're rooting for, you hope that he or she is able to come back and get back to her feet. And, through relationships, through networking, through honestly getting that wake-up call, that was able to keep me on my feet. I know a lot of people that have gotten laid off and have never really been able to get back to where they once were.
Absolutely.
And you need that internal, you need that internal check. You need that internal meter that if all else fails around you, you yourself in your heart are not going to give up. You know what I mean? And the world is very different from what it was in 2011 and from what it is today. But I'm thinking moving forward, if I ever get laid off again, what have I done to put myself in a better position so that this layoff won't cripple me?
Right. You
know what I mean? Having a 401k, having money in your savings, those are all things you need to do, whatever that is. But, even money under your mattress, to be that real. But what are you doing to put yourself in a better place? Because your 9 to 5 is only going to get you so far. What are you doing for yourself to put yourself in a better position to win? So that if one day, God forbid, knock on wood, that you lose your job, what have you done to put yourself in a good position to make sure you're not, flapping in the wind? And you need to go through that. Like, anybody who's ever just been winning, that first loss is going to hit you. It's okay to lose.
Right.
It's okay to learn. It's okay to go through experiences that shake you up a little bit, because they're reality checks, and everybody got to cash a reality check at one time or another. So, I think these are sometimes the experiences that build character, and maybe you might go through these experiences more than once. If you learn from it, it's an experience. If you don't learn from it, you're not paying attention. So, the key here is to pay attention,
And you really just hit right on to just paying attention. And like you said, what are you doing to prepare yourself or put yourself in a better position in the next position? And it is obvious, whether you know it or not, or it was done intentionally, that every opportunity you had, it seemed as though you were, because it's like you had so many things going on at once. Because sometimes I look at Dela like, yo, what exactly do you do? And that's what I was thinking. I was like, because I've never know, I know you've been rocking with the heavy hitters for a long time. I remember the BET, the VH1 component, but I've never really got a chance to get an idea. And so what is your take on having multiple streams of income, and not even just multiple streams of income, but really utilizing your talents and your gifts to the I'll say full extent? Because I feel like that's what you've always have done. You've been able to juggle multiple hats. And like you said, coming from student government and then also doing parties, but you had to learn how to switch one on and switch one off when in the actual environment of another one. So, in this day and age and in this moment right now, how are you positioning yourself, to even put yourself in a better position and utilizing the gifts and talents that you have naturally?
I like to use analogies a lot to get points across. So hopefully this makes sense. I think that each person is the coach of their own team, right? So your team is made up of all the tools you have. Whatever skill sets you're really good at, if you have the gift of gab, if you're a great writer, if you're a great creative, whatever those skill sets are, if you're great with numbers, that's your team. So you're your own Phil Jackson. You yourself are Phil Jackson of your team. Whatever strategy you have to create to put these tools to work, to make them work for you, you have to do that. So for me, I'm looking at the skill sets that I'm acquiring with every experience I go through. So from TV to the radio music component with the DJs, now to being on the spirit side, being much more behind the scenes on the numbers and how the spirits business works. You have to be able to look at your skill set, your relationships, even your Rolodex is a tool set. You know what I mean? Who do you know? What relationships do you have, to help you create whatever you need to create? You need to be able to look at yourself and figure out what you bring to the table. Because if you don't bring anything to the table, and everyone brings something to the table, right? It's just about being realistic about what you have, what you don't have, and what you need to work on to add more value to whatever situation you're bringing yourself to. So everyone has to essentially go through like a, I like to call it a SWOT analysis, right?
Right.
Look at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Your strengths, what am I really good at? Realistically, and ask people around you what they think you're good at, and see if that compares to what you think you're good at, and write that on a list. Like, write it down on a piece of paper. Your weaknesses, looking at what you think you need to be better at. If you're looking at the landscape, if you're looking at the music scene, and you're like, well, this person's really good at this, and you don't want to get caught comparing yourself to people too much. That's a slippery slope.
Right.
But when you're looking at what you need to be good at to be successful in this landscape, here's what I need to develop on. Here's what I need to work on. I need to work on my public speaking. I need to work on my writing. I need to work on, sometimes it's your appearance. Because believe that wherever you're going, people are going to judge you before you open your mouth, before you even open your notebook. So they're going to look at you and what you bring to the table. And if you're really talented, it won't matter how you look. They'll believe in what you're selling. But a lot of the time, before you even open your mouth, people are making a decision about you.
Right.
Whether it doesn't matter if they like you or whether they like you or not. So you need to look at what you bring to the table and figure out if what you need to work on a weakness level. The opportunities, the O. So we did strengths, weakness, opportunities. What are the white spaces? What are things that you have going on for you that you can jump in and really build upon? What can you create? Where are the opportunities for you to flourish and be successful in whatever landscape you're going into? And threats. What's going to stop you from being successful? What are the things that are challenges to you being, striking ground or whatever landscape you're jumping into? So again, you got to look at yourself and what you bring to the table, your contacts, your relationships, your skill set. Be your own coach. Put your tools together. If you've ever wondered why a team is so good, why a team has so many talented players, but it's so bad. So I always wonder, like, the year that the Lakers got Karl Malone, Gary Payton, they're supposed to be the dream team, right?
Right.
Why didn't they do what they were supposed to do? Is because somewhere in that equation, the chemistry was off. Like, the coach, I think it was Rudy Tomjanovich, whoever it was at the time, wasn't able to figure out a way to make all these pieces to work together in unison. It's either that or everyone was just that much better than them. Either way, they had to figure out a way to put those tools together and create a winning combination. They weren't able to do that. It's about looking at yourself and the tools you have, making them work together for you. What I want to stress here is you want to work smart, not hard. You can work 1,000 hours a week. There's not 1,000 hours in a week, but you get what I'm saying. You can work 1,000 hours a week and not get anywhere and wonder why you're not moving. Ask yourself where you're putting those energy, where are you putting that energy into? What are you working on? Are you putting your energy in the best place? You got to ask yourself real questions and tough questions to get where you want to be, and it's about being very real, taking a real hard look at yourself and seeing if what you're bringing to the table is cutting it, if you need to go back to the drawing board and work on some things, or if you need to put your energy in a different direction. So you got to take a real hard look at yourself, and again, no one's going to be a tougher critic on you than you. But then after that, you're your own biggest challenge. You're your biggest competitor. So.
Now, in essence, like, how many times do you think you may have gone back to the drawing board to kind of recalculate your ability to put forth your best gifts and talent?
I do it a lot. I think you're the best project you'll ever work on. So you'll always be fine-tuning things here and there. You'll get to a place when you're on cruise control, which I feel like I'm starting to get there now. I'm at a place where 32 years old, although I've switched industries, the importance remains the same. It's about consumer pull. It's about, getting people to buy what you're selling. But before you even offer it to them, understanding what they're looking for. So that's going to be recalibrated, for a long time with me. As far as I go, I always have to look back at the plan that I had when I was 21. It changed when I was 25. It changed when I was 28. And they change with life experiences too. What you go through, they'll shift your interest left or right. They'll make you put your eggs in different baskets. But you are you're the most important project you'll ever work on. So throughout life, throughout your professional, your personal experiences, all these learnings that you're going through, you're going to be able to figure out where you need to distribute your energy, where you need to put your energy for the end goal of being happy. You know what I mean? Whatever your goal is, you want to be happy doing whatever you're doing.
Absolutely.
Whether it's making, $100 a month, $1,000 a month, $100,000 a month, you really need to make sure that whatever you're doing is you're able to wake up in the morning and love what you're doing, because that's key. Because when the work gets tough, that's really going to show how much you love what you do.
Absolutely.
And you're really going to need to have some skin in the game and make sure you love what you do, because what you do won't always be happy.
Absolutely.
You won't always love what you do. You'll need to be able to adjust to that. So
I had a great teacher that told me, when you find a job you love to do, you never work a day in your life. And even when it gets hard, it's never considered work, or it's never really considered hard, because you love doing it and you're willing to put the work in. Just like you said, you got to have some skin in the game. And what
100%.
And what I love most, you've been making these transitions, and how are you able to jump from, because really coming from, TV and now going into the wine and spirits, although it's a lifestyle brand, like you said, it's still dealing with the consumer. How are you able to make such an adjustment and actually change in such a way? Because I just remember recently reading a book, Who Moved My Cheese? And for so long, they were unable to make the change and really deal with that concept in their mind. And that's really how so many people get stuck. So, what are your advice in that area of making an adjustment when when having to move into a different area of a career that you're interested in?
They say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Mm-hmm. So, going from, I feel like college in a sense was a career as well. So going from college to VH1, it was about networking. It was about knowing people who can help me based on my skill set. What do I bring to the table? What can I offer to someone else? And that had a lot to do with networking. Knowing the right people and being at the right places, and knowing, not being too proud to ask for help.
Right.
Everyone needs help at one time or another. Going from TV to the DJ world, I felt like I was always in there because of college. It was because of the relationships that me and my partners created with these DJs. So that in essence became another network for us to work with. Jay ended up, doing a lot of touring, booking other DJs, working with DJ Self. and building his relationships there. Me, on my end, I stuck with a little bit more corporate route. And that allowed me to stick with the heavy hitters and working with G-Pen, Grenco Science, shout out to my man Chris Folkerts, and bringing them on, working with the different labels to sponsor these DJ events. The trickiest one was the spirits transition, because I know people in the spirits game. Like, I know a few people at Hennessy, I know a few people at these brands, but getting into that world, I was actually recruited. You know, I was recruited off of LinkedIn, and I remember starting on my LinkedIn probably 2005, a really long time ago, and like, hey, you know, well, I don't know what this is going to do for me, but let me just make sure I keep it updated and keep it as clean as I can. And I was recruited on LinkedIn for this job. Wow. You know, and the spirits game, it's a serious business, right? So it was like 4 interviews, 3 months of interviews. It was, you know, background checks, all this, that, and the third. And, you know, I was recruited off LinkedIn for this. And that had nothing to do with networking. You know, that was like, I knew people that knew them. And, you know, once I got the first interview, I'd look at who I was interviewing with and try to ask connections that I had with them. Hey, you know, can you tell me about this person? Give me some background. You know, if you feel confident in what I bring to the table, would you mind giving me a recommendation? But even then, I still had to, you know, I was led to the water, but I had to drink from it. You know what I mean? Like, right. I had to nail the interview. And, you know, God willing, I'm grateful that I was able to do so. But to get to that door, you know, like I said, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. There's a whole combination of things that lead to putting yourself in a position to win. Your skill set, the things that you do, but then just making sure that you're ready, making sure that you can show up. You know, so taking advantage of these resources, the LinkedIn, the relationships with people that you have that, you know, maybe see, hey, how can you work together? How can you create mutually beneficial partnerships so where they don't feel like they're the only one helping you. You can feel like you're helping them as well.
Correct.
You know, you have to really look at your Rolodex of tools, again, going back to being a coach of your own team, your tool set, making sure that everything is up and running, because at the end of the day, you're going to be the one that's accountable for you. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't blame anyone else for why you weren't successful or are successful. Like, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to help you. There's a lot of people that are going to put you in a situation, but you need to open that door. So you need to be able to put yourself in the best position possible to win.
And I feel like that pretty much comes right to our G codes. You have dropped so many G codes in this one session. I mean, I feel like I can't even recall them all. So if we had to boil it down to three top G codes that you would make sure that you would tell your future self, not even your future self, your past self, you know what I mean? What would be the 3 G codes that you would want to tell, you know, your younger self? There you go. I couldn't figure out what it was.
Let me see. 3. 1. I think I said it before. Don't let your wins get you too high. Don't let your losses get you too low. You know, life is it's cyclical. You gotta go with the flow. You know, you're gonna have good times and bad times, but keep your mental right. Stay positive, and good things will happen. So that's 1. 2. I would say pay attention. Or stay woke, rather. I'll say stay woke. Make sure you're paying attention to what's going on around you. You know, the climate, the landscape, you know, how things are changing. You know, you're going to have to figure out where your focus lies, where you want to put your energy. Pay attention to the trends that are happening, to the people that are really making moves. Learn from them. Learn from their wins. Learn from their losses. So pay attention. Stay woke. And, you know, 3rd, you know, enjoy the ride. You know, like it's you know, the entertainment game, you know, the game of life as a whole. It's not easy, but you know, throughout the journey, you know, you're gonna get your bruises, but you gotta enjoy it. You know, learn from your your mistakes. You know, be better. You know, understand that being in the entertainment or music or whatever game you're trying to get into is a part of life. It's not your whole life. So, you know, make it count. Work hard, but enjoy the ride while you're at it. And those are my 3 G codes.
I love each and every one of them. I was really sitting here counting them as you were speaking, and I was like, dang, I got lost. I feel like you in the beginning, you just hit like 20 of them. So I'm going to have to come back, re-listen, so I can be able to drop some of them. I'm going to start calling you Dela the Philosopher.
Hilarious. I got you.
I appreciate it, Dela. I really appreciate you giving me your time. I know your time is so delicate, so I appreciate you sharing some with us, and definitely give us your G-code.
Your time is just as important. Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you. Now tell the folks, go ahead and plug your wine and spirits again, and let us know what is the best things we should be sipping on.
Cool. So make sure when you're out and about, you are trying the world's best tasting tequila, Avion Tequila. Shouts to the founder, Ken Austin. Shouts to the homie Jeezy, supporting the brand. When you're out and about, want to get that whiskey fix, try out your Jameson Irish whiskey. Smooth Irish whiskey doesn't take itself too seriously. And I won't plug too much else in, but appreciate your time, ADRI. You've been phenomenal since day one. Appreciate what you're doing here with the G Code. And you're a go-getter. I see you moving. Keep going. Keep making everybody proud, holding Buffalo down and beyond. So thank you very much.
No, thank you, Dela. I appreciate you. And you want to plug any of your social media so folks can try to follow you and see how dope you are?
I'm regular. I'm cool. But you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Dela_Y, DELA_Y.
Just that simple. All right, my go-getters, I hope you were able to really get a hold of all the G codes he dropped on you. I certainly did. And take them and use them. And again, as always, make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes. Yes, always look for it on the G. It's called the G Code, of course. And now I actually put some up on YouTube. So my folks who have Androids, what's coming at my life, you can find us on YouTube as well. And so make sure you just subscribe, share, listen, and be inspired on today. Again, I'm ADRI.V, the Go Getta. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at all things ADRI.V, the Go Getta. A to the D, R to the I-V, THEGOGETTA. And again, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And in advance, thank you for subscribing. And as always, welcome to the G Code.